Welcome to MITCHFIT. My name's Mitch, and today we'll be doing the second primal movement, the hinge. The hinge, like the squat, is another leg dominant movement, primal movement. It primarily works the glutes, hamstrings, and also engages the abdominals quite a lot. First, I can show you the general movement. For this, you can stand up. You can have your feet about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider, and you can have your feet pointing straight ahead to have your kinetic chain line up. If it's too much, you can always have the feet just slightly turned down, but not too much. First, you can have your hands on the crevices of your hips and you're going to stick your butt straight back, bending forward. You have a nice straight back. Keep your head in a neutral position so you don't want to be looking up, have an extension in the neck that can create some neck problems. So having that neck neutral, and you can have your shoulder blades squeezed together and down, and that will also help keeping that straight back. You'll have a slight bend in your knees, but it should primarily be in the hips. And then to drive forward, it's going to be a thrust where you squeeze your glutes, your butt, your hamstrings, and also engaging your abdominals. So essentially, big components of your core. And this is going to bring you into that standing position, nice and tall. And this is a great movement for helping reduce low back pain, prevent low back pain, and much more. So next, I'm going to go through the progressions of the exercises, and this is purely a recommendation. You can always switch exercises out. This is just what I recommend. The first exercise is given the glute bridge. Phenomenal for all training levels, especially for beginners. This is just great for getting the hinge movement down with your body weight. For this, you'll lay down on your back. You have your feet flat on the floor, knees bent 90 degrees. You can have your palms facing up and your arms are going to be about 45 degrees away from the body. The palms facing up will just keep your shoulders in a relaxed position, easier for the shoulder joints. And you're going to drive through your heels, bringing your hips up, squeezing your butt, hamstrings, and abdominals to have your body be in a nice straight diagonal line. And then you want to slowly lower down. Very simple exercise, very effective. You can do it at home, at the gym. And also to progress in this exercise, you can add some weight. You can add a weight onto your hips, so maybe a dumbbell, a weight plate, or even a kettlebell, which I have. You can have it right on the hips, on the crevices, and that will add some extra resistance. The next exercise is the kettlebell deadlift and paired with the single leg glute bridge. But first for the kettlebell deadlift is great because you can add a little bit more resistance since you're standing up. Sometimes it's a little bit too much to add weight on to the hips for the glute bridge. So for the kettlebell deadlift, you have the kettlebell in between your feet. Your feet are about maybe shoulder width, a little bit more, toes pointing forward, preferably for that kinetic chain all being in line, or you can have them slightly turned out. You're going to bring those hips back with the crevices of the hips, nice straight back, grab onto the weight, drive in through the hips like there's strings attached to your hips, driving them forward, squeezing the butt, hamstrings, abdominals, getting into that straight position, lifting the weight up, and then lowering back down, reversing the process. Paired with the single leg glute bridge, this is same movement as a glute bridge, but now with one leg, you're going to have your off leg either straight or you can have it bent 90 degrees. And this is great for reducing the differences between strength between each leg. So you're going to have less muscle imbalances. The next exercise, the ultimate, this is just phenomenal, is the kettlebell swing. Kettlebell swing just works everything, great for explosiveness, strength, all the above. So for this, you're going to have the kettlebell. You're going to take a step away, feet maybe a little bit more than shoulder width, either feet preferably straight ahead or pointing outwards. And you're going to get into that hinge position, bringing those hips back, nice straight back, leaning forward. You're going to grab onto the weight and allow that kettlebell to lean backwards. And then it's like hiking a football. You're going to hike it back with some power behind you through the legs, and then you're going to thrust with your hips, driving the glutes, driving the hamstrings, abdominals, and then that's going to swing the weight forward. You're going to be standing straight while the weight swings up to about chest height, and then you're going to allow that weight to go all the way down to the hips before bringing the hips back into that hinge position to essentially catch the weight. You don't want to bring the hips back before, because if you do that and the weight's maybe halfway down, it's going to go all to your lower back, and that can create some low back issues or make your low back issues worse, which we don't want. So make sure to have it go all the way down, and then once your weight catches it, it's going to swing back, and then you're going to drive those hips again, repeating the movement back and forth. Really important on the last repetition, once it's coming down, you'll get into that hinge position, the weight's going to come back, and then you're going to stay in that hinge position. So you're not going to drive the weight forward, you're going to allow the kettlebell to swing on itself forward, and you're going to allow it to just set down on the floor, like how we had it at the beginning, essentially reversing that starting process. This is just much easier, preventing injury and making sure that you don't hurt your lower back or cause any stress. The next exercise is another fantastic one, the traditional barbell deadlift. So at home I don't have a barbell, but this is a phenomenal exercise if you do have access to one. This is really going to develop the ultimate strength in the movement. It does require a little bit more strength in your glutes, hamstrings, and abdominals compared to the kettlebell deadlift because the weight's going to be more in front of you rather than in between your legs. So you're going to have to lean forward a little bit more, and this just is going to require you to have a little bit more focus on technique. So for the barbell deadlift, you're going to grab the weight, grab the bar when you're in the bottom position, you want your forearms to be on the outside of your knees. Often that might be right where, for me, it might be right where the smooth part of the barbell becomes textured. If you have bigger shoulders, you'll have to do a little bit wider. If you're a little bit smaller, you maybe go just one hand width in. So once you grab the weight, you're going to get into that hinge position, bring that butt back, leaning forward, nice straight back, head neutral position, and then you're really going to focus on keeping those abdominals tight, drive those hips forward through the butt, the glutes, and the hamstrings, going up into that standing position, lifting that weight up, and then reversing the process, going nice and slow, nice and controlled, making sure not to round the lower back, not to have any lower back arch, really focusing on those abdominals staying tight so it removes any stress onto your lower back. And now the final exercise is the single leg deadlift. So this, like the single leg glute bridge, is really going to help reduce any muscle imbalances, and it's going to really focus on improving your abdominal strength and essentially your core strength, your entire midsection. So for this, I use a kettlebell. You can also use a dumbbell on the same side on the working leg. So similar movement, but now you're going to have that hinge just in one leg, and you're going to have the off leg just swing behind you. You're going to lean all the way down, having that weight almost touch the floor or touching the floor with the kettlebell. And then you're going to drive through that hip on the working side, squeezing the glute, hamstring, also engaging the stomach, the abdominals, going up into that standing position. You can also do this with body weight to start off, and often you can have your hands straight up. So when you're leaning all the way forward, your body will be in a horizontal line parallel to the floor, and your hands can be straight forward, so they're parallel with the floor as well. Phenomenal exercise, just developing core strength, abdominal strength, and fixing any muscle imbalances. So that's my recommended progression for the hinge movement. I hope these exercises will help you develop your primal hinge movement. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to check out more of my workouts and programs, you can head to my website, mitchfit.com. See you next time.